Hello guys, it's Irad, and so today I want to talk about a game that has been perhaps my very first game ever back in the 1994, a very long time ago, Little Big Adventure. I was a little boy, and yeah, this was my very first video game, and it was an open world adventure game. Can you imagine, guys, an open world adventure game back in 1994 where you could basically go pretty much everywhere around the game world? It was revolutionary. You could talk to NPCs. NPCs were having their own lives and going by their own business. They would be interacting with you based on your action, which would give you eventually some sort of early reputation system or not. It was absolutely groundbreaking. There was eventually a sequel, A Little Big Adventure 2, but overall my favorite because of its story is the first one. It looked kind of cute, but actually it has a very dark story mode with a dictator that's oppressing his people, and some weird sci-fi technologies that you might necessarily not see over the cross, but once you deep down a little bit deeper, then you get to understand the full depth of the game world and the story. And so, guys, I am so happy to know that they are making a new Little Big Adventure game. On the Steam page, it says that it's coming up in 2024. And so, to keep us reassured, because it's been a very long time, the developers are posting regular updates about the progress that they are making and about their various plans. And we had a video recently about some behind-the-scenes footage, and especially a video about their new art director, who is creating some concept images for the new game that they are making. So that is what we are going to be checking out today. Alright, so let's have a look at this video that just came out. I'm so excited about it. So here they're explaining that they have a new artistic director, and it is this gentleman over there. His name is Paolo, as DJ. This is DJ here. So Didier Chanfray is one of the creators of the original games. It is so awesome that he is back for the recreation of Little Big Adventure. And he explained in the previous video that the reason why they decided to reboot Little Big Adventure is because back in those days when they created this game in 1994, they didn't have the technology to really have the full vision coming to fruition, because of course we were still at the very early stages of video gaming. And right now they are using the Unreal Engine, if I am correct, Unreal Engine 4, and so they are going to have tools that they could never even dream of back in those days in the early 1990s when they made this game. And so lots of different plots that just didn't work, scenes that didn't work, all those transitions between different screens, interactable screens, which acted as the game world. All of these is going to be gone. Instead, we're going to have an entire planet Twinsen, in which players will be able to freely roam as they wish. It's going to open up lots of other gameplay opportunities as well. But of course, to recreate a world with modern standards, you've got to do the art first. And so that is what this video is about. There you go. People will be recognizing here the catamaran here, which is Twinsen's boat that he uses to go from Principal Island to go to the desert island. Obviously, looks like it's coming back as well. So we're looking here at very early work in engine of how they are going to be creating the islands within the game. So all of that, of course, is still very early in concept here. We're not going to be seeing any vegetation or whatsoever. They're probably looking here at the lighthouse that we'll be seeing later, the lighthouse which is located on Citadel Island. And so, Paolo Torino is the art director, as the screen says here, of this new Little Big Adventure game, and he is also a fan. So that's also something that's extremely important for fans of Little Big Adventure, is that the people who are making these new games are fans, people like us who played this game back in those days when they were kids, who dreamed about this game, drew little Twinsons during their free time at school, and so they are going to be putting their heart and soul into the project, making sure that it stands up to its legacy, and that is really reassuring. You're going to be able to see some of the work that he did as well. in the past actually was recorded because he did a very nice fan art for what could be Little Big Adventure 3. And he makes a very good point here. He doesn't know anyone who played the first 2 games who said that these games were bad. Everybody who played the first 2 games loved the games. Even when you look at that, this is from 1994, it still looks quite decent for what it is. And it's also why it's incredible that they're still, it's also why it's incredible that they're still, making those. It's also why it's incredible. It's also why it's incredible they're still making, these games based on how. So therefore, it's not much of a surprise that they've decided. 1, 2, 3. So therefore, it's not much of a surprise that they've decided to remake this game with the formulae that worked back in those days and trying to put them in a modern twist in 2023, or at least in 2024, which is when it's going to be released. So here we're looking at Benoît Limard. He is the co-founder of 2.21. Actually, I believe he is the one who came up with the business plan, or at least the business model, to found some investors and also convince Didier Chanfray to be on board and remake Little Big Adventure. So he's explaining here how he found Paolo on the internet, on Instagram. That is the work here that Paolo originally did, and it looks very convincing actually, with a kind of a modern twist. So that's going to be perhaps some of the direction that they are going to be taking, at least in fan art. Is it going to be looking exactly like that in game? Probably not, but still, nevertheless, it's definitely a modern touch and twist to the universe of Little Big Adventure, and it definitely does look much more modern than what we are used to. So originally here, they say that, what's his name again? Paolo. So originally, Paolo said that he was contacted for a reboot of the game, which has been the idea since the very beginning. It's not Little Big Adventure 3, and it makes sense, why would they make a Little Big Adventure 3, since most people, unfortunately, have forgotten about the original game. So it makes sense. They're probably going to be rebooting the first Little Big Adventure. They're probably after that going to be rebooting Little Big Adventure 2, and then if financially speaking it does make sense, there will be a third game, but we're not going to be seeing that third game. We are not going to be seeing that third game going into fruition until the very first 2 get rebooted. Benoit here is extremely impressed by Paolo and how creative he is, and that's really good. I'm glad to see the boss is impressed. We're going to see here, it definitely does look like a more modern take of the direction that they are taking. I do not recognize any of these characters, which is great, because kind of bring definitely some fresh elements to a game that the fans already know and love all by heart. So even though it's going to be a reboot of the original story, it's still going to be feeling fresh, or at least that is how they are going to try to remake this game. And this here is very recognizable. Of course, anyone who knows this game knows that this is Planet Twinsen, and Benoit says that when he looks at the art made by Paolo, he's touched here, and indeed it is very touching. I love the light effects. I love the contrast between darkness and light, and how it just shows there on the planet. And if this is how it's going to be looking in game, or at least in engine, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. So next is very interesting that we get to learn that Didier and Paolo are working together. It's basically the master, the master teaching the apprentice. I get the old work here of the senior developer. It's not the old work, but the old-fashioned, the old style. And anyone who recognizes here, these are the sacred carrots that the rabbit bunnies love to grow on the planet. Yeah, I thought that they were growing those near the mountain range. Looks more like inland, but again, there's plenty of places that we haven't seen in the original game because of the technical limitations. Maybe we'll see them grow the carrots inland. Yeah. And here is really something that I'm so happy to see. They are working on Dr. Funfrog. Dr. Funfrog is the iconic bad guy of the series. He is. When I was a kid, I was always wondering, why is he a doctor if he does not heal people? DJ is going to give us the answer to that. And again, we've never seen those cars, those parades. It would be so awesome if this comes into the game, or at least if there's like a special edition where they'll be releasing all those artwork, maybe with some of the background that we have never gotten to see with the original game, how he came to power. It seems like when at least on this concept art image or this early sketch, people do seem to be liking him. So that's really interesting to see where this is coming from, how we are going from this here where people are cheering all the way to stage in the game, at least in the original game, where people are afraid and are trying to just get rid of him. So since DJ speaks French and Paolo speaks Portuguese, then they are using an app on the phone to work. But hey, as long as it works, that's totally fine. This is awesome to see DJ here drawing a fun frog. Just for us. So there we go. We are learning he is a doctor in computer science. So that's why he's called Doctor. And here is some of the interpretation that Paolo is bringing. Now, it needs to be a little bit fatter than this, but at least I guess it's going to be giving some interesting directions of perhaps his face, or maybe how it's going to be looking like, because we haven't had much detail. Again, in 1994, it was really hard to give facial details or any kinds of more difficult geometry. Everything looked very simple, again, because we had resolution 300 by 400 pixels, and that was basically it. So it's an entire world here between what used to exist 30 years ago and what is possible now. And other sketches here of future robots and clones that will be existing in the future. And I love those different sketches that we are looking at here. And this is what I was saying in the introduction. Little Big Adventure is a mix of cuteness. It looks like cotton candy on the outside, but there you go. You got a prisoner outfit, some monsters here. Scientific mix of scientifical and diabolical at the same time on the inside, and that is what made this game so breathtaking, so popular, and so memorable. I think in my eyes, this contrast here that was like, oh, I thought it was it's cute and nice, but actually it's quite scary. But here. And this is where we can see that they are still trying to go for some of the original designs. You can see that even as Paolo is drawing, the shape of the trees still look like the trees of the original game. And that's a really nice touch, And this is really what I'm hoping they're going to be doing with this game, doing something new with something, I wouldn't say old, but something classic. And so we are looking here at the very first concept arts that are publicly released for Little Big Adventure. The lighthouse that we did see, I believe that we saw it earlier, being the very early modelization, which was still obviously in white box phase in engine, but this is how Paolo envisions the lighthouse to be. If anyone's familiar with Little Big Adventure, especially the second game, this is one of the core game area of the early phase of the story of the second game, and it doesn't have any use in the first game, but hey, since they are going to allow us to go anywhere on the planet, it definitely makes sense that it's also going to be appearing there. Looks like some kind of tavern here. Taverns were also very important. Things were happening. Sometimes we were encountering help. Sometimes we were encountering traders, clues. We were running out of health or out of magic points. You could buy them from the from the candy box here, the candy jar. In the second game, I believe that NPCs could listen to music and dance to it. It would be awesome if this could come back as well. And of course, the garbage truck, very important too. That is how you escape from the asylum at the start of the first game. Looks like we're gonna have a couple of shapes here. This does, I don't think this is Twinsen, more like, it probably looks more like Zoe. We've got Grobos there, and I have no idea who this character is. It's very likely they're gonna have new characters as well, but some of the iconic vehicles of the first games are coming back. They've got to bring back the trash truck, and it looks like it's definitely being worked on. Anyway, guys, that is how Twinsen's Little Big Adventures reboot is going to be looking like. It's taking shape, and I'm so glad that it seems to be getting faster and faster. We got that possible release date on Steam. They said that it's going to be released in 2024, so we got a little more than a year probably to be waiting. The script is already working. They're working on the reboot of the scenario as well, but they've got some of the original crew, the original staff, founders working on the game, and I cannot wait to see how much progress they'll be making until then. Anyway, guys, it's been Irad. Have a wonderful day. Hope you liked this video. Don't forget to subscribe if you did, and I will see you guys later.